Simon, welcome to the Well Workplaces podcast. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Tom. Good.
Mate, I'm just so impressed of how early you've gotten up to
So am
speak
I.
to speak to me. So it's 5 a.m. in the Manchester, I believe. So well done. That's a great effort. And normally I'm needing a coffee at least to start talking to humans. So thanks again.
It's all about the 4-day week. It allows you to do crazy things like this.
That's it. Great segue. Yeah, well, this is partly, obviously, today we're just wanting to talk about, I guess, how you sort of unleash productivity and well-being in the workplace with 4-day work week, but work week being the driver. You've obviously implemented this at your workplace. In the lead up to this, though, I did a little bit of a poll on through our community page and also just on just LinkedIn the other day. I just remembered that there's an audience there that we can ask. And I was asking the Australian audience, I was like, is your business or workplace considering, are they doing the 4-day work week now? The results are in, and granted, this is a bit of a vox pop and a bit of a 100 people sort of numbers, but 70% saying no, as in no,
Sure.
Their business isn't doing it yet. There's the rest are doing it or considering implementing it next year, bringing it into the next year. And as I was saying just before off air, I reckon Australia is a little bit behind sometimes with these things, and we like to probably research, overanalyze things maybe a bit too much before we make the change. The 4-day work week's been in the media a fair bit in the last 6 months, maybe last year as well. And it's an interesting concept. I guess my initial thought is, well, where do we start? Like, why do we work 5 days, I guess, is a good question.
Don't ask me. I don't know that.
Didn't make it up, did you?
Well, actually, I know why we work 5 days a week. I mean, that's down to Henry Ford. And it was 100 years ago, about, I think,
Yes.
1922, around 1922, when everybody in the world worked a 6-day week. And he implemented a 5-day week in his factory making cars. And he was a fairly tough industrialist. He was not a fluffy man at all.
Yes.
And he did it because he believed he would be able to build more cars more successfully, cheaper. He also did it because he wanted people to have a weekend and buy his cars and go for picnics and things. Not many people were going to buy cars if they couldn't go and do something with it. So one of the reasons he did it was for that. So it's quite an interesting story as to how we ended up having a 5-day week. And the reason we have a 6-day week before that was down to religion. So Christianity, Islam, the major religions of the world, wanted people to have a day to go to church or the mosque, and so they introduced a 6-day week, gave you a day of rest, and so it's tradition. The reason we have a 5-day week is because we've always had a 5-day week. You start in the UK at 4, you go to school, it's 5 days a week, and then you carry on doing that until you retire. And if you ask people why are you doing a 5-day week, they don't know. That's my experience. I've spoken to a lot of people. I've done a lot of interviews because we implemented our 4-day week back in June 2022, and I've done a heck of a lot of interviews all over the world. Actually, it's been really interesting. People are so fascinated by this. I'm now puzzled by the 5-day week. I don't understand it.
Yeah. You're not fascinated by the 4-day week. You're probably like, why the hell did we even start with a 5? Because as I was leading into this discussion, I was kind of the first question that came, well, why do we do the 5-day? And old mate Henry Ford thought he was doing us a favor by taking 1 day out, but then making sure you bought his cars on the weekend. So it's lots happened since then, obviously. And
he thought a 4-day week was the way forward. Actually, I mean, he was on the record at the time saying, "I think 4 days is probably better."
Yeah, right.
But I actually don't think the 4-day week is the point. Actually, or the 5-day week. It doesn't. I think it's pretty irrelevant. I think if you are a leader of an organization and you aren't thinking about the most productive working pattern, you probably shouldn't be leading an organization, because it is, in terms of productivity, it is the issue for you to work out. what is the best way to run your organization? Is it 4 days? Is it 7 days a week on less hours each day? Is it split shifts? Is
Mm.
it 2 days on, 2 days off? What is it that works for you? There's the trial in the UK has looked at a lot of different working patterns. I mean, my organisation, Tyler Grange, we decided to have Fridays off, so we work Monday to Thursday, and we have a 3-day weekend. But we were in the trial, we were going to do 2 days on, 2 days off, so we're going to have Wednesday off. So,
Yep.
I actually wanted to do that. That was the thing I wanted to do. But the guys at work wanted Friday off, and we said, well, we'll try it, and then we'll try Mondays off, then we'll try Wednesdays off, then we'll try 5 days on reduced hours, and we'll see which one fits us best. But actually, the Friday off was so transformational and so brilliant for us. I was very, very surprised at how successful it was. We didn't try anything else. We just carried
Yes.
it. We thought I don't want to change this. It's too good.
Yep. And you end up getting up early on a Friday and talk to me on your fifth day.
Yeah, and I'm cool with it because I don't have to work today because it's Friday.
Yeah. Unreal. That's really cool. So there's obviously there's trials being done, or they've been done in the UK, and there are some trials starting in Australia, or they've already been done. And I was just reading as well that in Australia there was about 15 organisations that all had a go, and there was at the end of the trial there was only one that didn't continue with the 4-day week. Probably a good So if we take a backward step, Simon, with the 4-day week, just to clarify for us, it is 4 days a week. Obviously, it's the less hours but the same pay. Is that how you would summarise it?
Yeah, that's correct. So
Yep.
the common formula that's used to help people understand is it's 100, 80, 100, which I think is actually quite important. It's a good formula, and I think if they're thinking about this, they should think about this. So it's 100% of your pay for 80% of your time, but you have to deliver 100% productivity.
Yep.
And I think that's the message, because this is about being better. It's not about having a day off. It is about being successful and productive. It is not about the social and other benefits of a 4-day week, which are definitely there. That's not what it was about. It was about us doing a better job. So that 100% productivity in 80% of your time. And actually, when we started talking to our team about it, our very best people did not want to do it. And I think if I was going to give any piece of advice, and there's lots and lots of advice around this, but one of the best pieces of advice is do not go into this cold. So I was on the UK trial. I think there was about 80 organisations across the UK that did it, thousands of employees. And a couple of the organisations, well, one in particular we were all on a big Zoom on day one, all very excited. And one organisation came and said, yes, we're just about to tell our team. They're going to be so excited about starting it today. And having gone through quite a long process of working out the best way of doing this, that terrified me. And actually, I know that organisation, and I won't say who it is, did not succeed. They didn't keep it. And so I would say, number one thing, and part of that formula is the reason why, is engage with your team, because they need to be the drivers for change. It's worked incredibly well for us. We're about 106% productivity based on that formula.
Yes.
So we're 26% more productive on 4 days than we were on 5 days. The reason is, this is my opinion, it's actually really quite hard to understand what's happened because it's so good. It's quite difficult to say this is why. But the reason I think that has happened is you are giving the people in your organization this unbelievable benefit, which is a whole day off every week for the rest of their career with you. That gives them a really, really strong motivator to make damn sure that they deliver. And probably the best thing about it is it gives them incredible resilience to change. Really. So if you tried to drive the changes I've driven through Tyler Grange in the last year on a 5-day week and just said, well, we might make more money,
Mm.
I might give you a pay rise. I might give you a bonus if we succeed. All the usual incentives that you might give to employees, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Because we've pushed through a lot of changes in working, the way we work. We've really systemized the way we work. That can be very painful. People don't like change,
Yes. Yep.
but they love change when you give them an amazing benefit like this.
Mm.
So it's been a really interesting, and it attracts people to your business like nothing else as well. So it's meant we've been able to recruit some pretty amazing people too.
Yeah, I can see as well through your website and your different things. You know, it's a real leading benefit. Like it stands out, like you know, like anything, and
Yeah,
it's so much better than talking about come to the office and we'll do a well-being workshop or a, you know, yoga at lunch and all that sort of stuff. All of that's,
yeah.
you know, that's it really with
They
this,
don't
I guess.
they don't want it. They don't want that kind of stuff anymore.
No, yeah, that's right. That's
We
it.
do we do have an in-house psychologist, by the way, a
Oh,
lady
great.
called
Yep.
Suzanne Brand. She's a sports psychologist. She works for I think she's Sunderland Football Club's sports psychologist, but she works across elite football, rugby, cricket, works and individuals as well. She's a very cool lady. She does a day a month with us, runs a workshop and does some things, but she's been really, really helpful in terms of understanding how organizations function really well, the environment that builds resilience to change. So I don't think I could say in isolation this is what's worked. I think we've done quite a few things that have worked. I think
Mm.
what we have done is create a really incredible incentive for people to be brilliant,
Yeah.
and it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of the guys who left during the 4-day week just a few days ago, actually, and he was saying, "Well, it's rubbish. It doesn't work. It doesn't. Just didn't work.
Okay.
You know what you're doing is it's not real. You know you're selling a line. So some people just don't like it. And you can go onto our Glassdoor profile and see some quite rude things written about Tyler Grange, because one of the things we've done with Suzanne is work very hard, and there's some lovely things written on there as well. But one of the things we've done with Suzanne is really work on our culture and be really defensive around it in terms of working really intensely through those 4 days and making sure we deliver and all the
Yeah.
stuff most leaders want businesses to do. We're very, very strict about it.
Okay.
So yeah,
Fantastic. So
that's
giving that benefit, I guess,
yeah,
in return, you get the
and it's not,
productivity
but it's
benefit.
not all amazing. You know, even
Yes. Yeah.
if you put this into your organization, it's stressful, it's hard.
Yeah.
But month one, it failed badly. I mean, our productivity went down quite badly. That was pretty terrifying.
Yes. Yeah. You're doing like, what are we doing? So with the trialing, and I guess your advice there, main advice being, you got to warm up your team a little bit that this is happening. If there was an ideal lead-in time to committing to the 4-day work week or whatever that looks like for your structure, maybe there's a few other ways you could do it. What would that ideal warm up period be? I know it's because I know this with my business. As soon as you announce some change, what that leads to is a lot of questions and a lot of work from the management team to ensure that people understand what your intention is and why you're doing it.
Yeah, well, it depends, doesn't it? I mean, it's going to depend on your organisation, but I can speak of
Mm.
experience with Tyler. I'm a non-exec director for a few organisations as well, and one of them is a 4-day week company. So I'd say about a year,
Yeah. Okay. Well.
because
Yeah.
because I think what you really ought to do is have a really good look at what you're doing, I really must write. I want to write a card that I can carry
Yeah.
around with myself, and I want to write a phrase on it, which is, "It'll work for you, but it won't work for me." Because
Yes.
every single person I speak to about this says that.
Yeah.
It'll work for you, but it won't work for me, and that's just not true. All they're really saying when they say that is, "I'm pretty scared of this, and I don't want to do it."
Mm.
It's just defense, and that's fine. But I think the reason you need a year is you're going to get that response from a lot of people in your organisation. Say, "Oh yeah, sure, it's worked in the UK, but it won't work in Australia." It's worked in Iceland, but it won't work here. So there's been a lot of trials around the world, and I think New Zealand actually was the first place to do it. I'm pretty sure that's right. The 4-day week global, I think they're a New Zealand organisation. So that's quite there's quite a lot of stuff around the world, and I think you've got to sit down and have a really good look at that, because there is every type of organisation, from healthcare to manufacturing to consultancies to anything you can think of, local government. I mean, there was interestingly, East Cambridgeshire Council, which is a local authority in the UK, they implemented a 4-day week, and it was really successful. It went really well. They did a lot of surveys and got a lot of data to prove it, because they were getting quite a lot of flack over it.
Yeah, I imagine.
Interestingly, the Secretary of State has now told them that they must not do a 4-day week and must go back to 5 days. So even though it works, people are still resistant to it. And I think it's not universal, it's not ubiquitous in the UK now. The conversation's happening, but a lot of organisations are saying, well, it won't work for me. It's worked for them, but it won't work for me. And that, I want to carry that around in my pocket, because everyone says pretty much exactly, and I want to be able to put it out and say, yeah, everyone says that. But once they start thinking deeply about it, they think, actually, why the heck do we do a 5-day week? I don't really understand, and I really need to look at that, because that's what I know. The exact second I decided we should definitely do a 4-day week, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and this is a bit sad. I had a nightmare about one of our competitors doing a 4-day week. And we hadn't done it.
Yep.
And it wasn't the nightmare. It's just, it's one of those, you get, I was really into it, and I was really thinking about this, and I just woke up in the night and thought, oh, someone else has done it first. And then I realized that if you go first, you get all the upsides, every single upside of doing it. You also get all of the downside, every single one. And so it's a little bit dangerous. But if you were last, you get no upside, because everybody else has already done it, and you're at the back of the queue. But you get many of the downsides. You probably got, us early adopters have probably worked out some of the downsides for you, but you're still going to have quite a few downsides. So if you don't get on this train, you're probably going to be struggling quite badly in a number of years' time. So you don't have to do a 4-day week, but you definitely have to work out what is the most effective way of working for your organization. And then you have to work out, how are you going to implement changes to make sure it works? You won't find it that hard, though, once you start. The experience of the trial is, some organizations did very little planning and very successfully made it work, because the reason you speak to your team is because they will come up with the ideas around how to make this work. You won't. You can't, actually. Even if you think you know what you're doing and you're an amazing leader, it's your team that are going to come up with the ideas and implement them in your organization. It's not you. So you've got to talk to them so that they can come up with those ideas. Your job is to help them come up with the ideas and put the changes in. So I think the lead-in time for us was about a year. I think that's probably about right for most organizations, if you don't want too much stress. But you could say, actually, I'm going to do it in a few months, and it would probably work. Personally would be pretty stressed if I did that.
The 1 year, I guess, for a 100-person team feels, sounds about right, and that gives that's a lot of people to consider, and also to facilitate those change leaders inside the team makes total sense. Given, I guess, the stuff that I've also been through with our business, it just takes a lot. Every idea always takes a lot longer to implement than you think. With the 4-day work week, one of the challenges, or one of the thoughts that I've had around it is, I imagine your number one tip out of this might be that if you are doing it, everyone has to be off on the same day. Is that true, or do you have team do you cover the week?
No.
Cover the week through teams?
Again, it depends.
Depends on your business.
Something you need to work that out, because there's a bank, Atom Bank in the UK, quite a big organisation, hundreds of employees. They did a split shift, so they wanted to keep open I think they're 6 days a week. They work Monday to Saturday. So they just do 2 shifts. So they have,
Yep.
I don't know exactly how they cut it up, but it'll be something like Monday to Thursday and Wednesday to Saturday. So there's an overlap, so they can help each other out for a day. And then there's days when when only say half the team are working. That's pretty common.
Yep.
But yeah, if you're gonna shut, I think it's actually, if you can, it is actually quite helpful just to close down.
Yes.
And you will have in every organisation, probably, you're very likely to have people right now that are doing a 4-day week. Most organisations around the world now have the flexi times and things like this, but you'll be paying them less. And one of the groups we engaged heavily with was working parents, mainly working mums, who were they were the ones generally doing a 4-day week. They generally had Friday or Monday off. And one of the things we noticed was they were doing more work than everybody else.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
we thought, well, these are the people we really need to talk to. So I don't know about you, but we had about, I don't know, something around 8 or 9 people that were already doing a 4-day week and paid 20% less. And we
Yeah.
had a good
Yeah.
look at what they were doing. We thought, actually, they are definitely doing well. They seemed pretty stressed though about it. And one of the reasons they were stressed about it was they had a Monday or a Friday off, but they quite often got phoned up on those days and the
Yeah.
business was
Yeah.
running. So they got engaged with on those days. So it was quite challenging for them to have that day out. And I think if your organization is still running when some of the people have some time off, I think the temptation for them is to still engage with, or if they're good people and they love your business, then they're likely to help, aren't they, if there's something that pops up.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, Suzanne said to me, one of the first things she said to me when I was talking to her about this was, Simon, if you work on Friday, everyone else is going to, and you're not going to get any benefits out of this. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
actually had to stop working on a Friday, which I found it unbelievably hard. It's
Yeah.
really hard. We reckon it takes you at least 3 months, probably
Yeah.
6 months. When someone new comes into Tyler Grange now, it takes them about that long to get the hang of it, because it is so different to what you've always
Mm.
done. And you feel really guilty on a
Yeah.
Friday when you're not working.
Yeah.
You're there going, I should be working. And you wake up and you're not entirely sure what to do and you're a bit freaked out by it. It's lovely, but it can really freak you out. So I
Yeah.
started playing golf. I started playing golf regularly on a Friday morning. And the
Fantastic.
reason was I had to switch my phone off. I had to concentrate on being terrible at golf. And
Yep.
and I was outside. I was away from the office and distraction. Actually, that really helped. So again, I would say you leaders out there who are thinking about this, one of the problems is going to be you, because if
Yeah.
you're like me, I work 7 days a week. I worked 7 days a week, and one of the things I've discovered now is I'm so much better at my job if I have some time out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It feels counterintuitive to entrepreneurs. We
Yes.
tend to be the sort of people that are just going to go at stuff constantly.
Yeah.
But actually, if you have a break, and Suzanne's from the world of sport, and one of
Yeah.
the other
Okay.
things she said to me is that I think she was working at the time with Saracens Rugby Club, and she was saying, well, and she knows I like rugby. She said, well, if I was with working with those guys, and I said, right, you're going to play a match for 5 days, and you're going to train really heavily on Saturday and Sunday. What do you think people would say to me? They think you were crazy.
Yeah.
So why would you think that you can be on your job 7 days a week and deliver a really good level of work? And having been forced to stop working, it's been a real eye-opener. I am definitely way better at my job now than I was. I mean, I still do sneakily do a bit of work, but don't tell anyone.
Does this
On
count as work
on the
though, Simon? I
weekends.
wonder. I wonder if this is work. Maybe not.
No, I mean, it's not. I'm enjoying agitating people about this. If I'm completely honest, because
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough.
I am now so puzzled by why people are working a 5-day week. Why haven't we woken up to the tradition? Because we seem to, as a global community, we seem to be pretty good at change. And there's, with the pace of change now is pretty rapid, isn't it? Right? I mean, with all the technology and stuff that's going on, why is nobody really? Why are we so resistant to this? It's weird. It's a bit weird, isn't it? And I'm finding it really weird because I mean, we're very everybody at Tyler Grange has to volunteer, so you have to take time out and go and volunteer. It's part of our culture. So in your own time, you have to volunteer for. That was part of our 4-day week. We used to pay people to have a day off every month to go and volunteer, and we didn't want to do that as we were going to 4 days. So we were a bit worried that was going to add extra strain, and it would have done actually with hindsight. But we said, look, we're going to do a 4-day week, but you're going to have to give something back to your community. So you've got to go and volunteer. We allow working parents to look after young children. That counts as nurturing the next generation. For us, counts as community time. But we wanted to make sure that we're an organisation that isn't really about money. And right from the 13 years ago when we started up, that was really important to us. Still is now. But we have to make money. And we're definitely making a lot more money on 4 days than we were on 5. So if your organisation, and most seem to be primarily about delivering profit and benefits to shareholders, if you're not doing this, you're not doing your job. And I don't mean a 4-day week. I mean looking at the most productive way to work.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no issue with that. I just have an issue with people saying, I'm working 5 days because we've always worked 5 days. That just sounds dumb. That's like a dumb answer to a question, isn't it? If you said that about pretty much anything else, I'm going to do it because I've always done it. People would think you were pretty crap at your job, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
I would. So I'm now, when people are saying to me, it'll work for you, but it won't work for me, and I'm doing it because I've always done it, I'm thinking, open your eyes, buddy. Come on, mate. You need to really work out here. How are you going to deliver the best outcome for your organisation? And that is not 5 days a week for just about everybody.
Yeah. There's this thing called Parkinson's law, isn't it? And it's like, jobs to fill the.
That was a joke.
Time, was it?
Parkinson was a comedian.
Oh, there you go.
And this was a joke. But actually, it's so damn true, isn't it? I mean, I think we all recognise that.
Yeah, I've been. Our business is small, medium sized, but having a lot of our clients are big, large corporates, and sometimes in those meetings or those interactions with people, you've got 20 people in a meeting, sending emails, passing time, working the 5 days. And I like what you said earlier about the parents, or the mum that's working 4 days. That was my wife, a couple of years ago, and she was actually literally she was saying, I'm doing the full-time job in less time. And what you were saying was the phone call on the Friday, because someone needs to ask you something quickly, you then end up picking up the phone and answering, and then but you are 4 days, and then on that 5th day you're actually looking after kids and taking work calls unintentionally. So
you're a well-being podcast.
Yes.
How much well-being is going on there?
Yeah, that's right. That's it. And those organisations where that is the badge of honour still is to work long and hard, and I'm a founder as well as yourself, and we're probably wired, or we previously were wired to go hard and just work a bit too much. Probably
still have a bit.
Yeah. but now you're trying. Simon, I actually had a little bit of a go of a bit of a trial myself. I was actually taking 1 day off, but I was hanging out with my son there for a little bit of time as he was getting into daycare and that kind of thing. And I liked it. I liked it really. I liked it a fair bit. My team, however, was. I feel a bit like a bit of a dickhead saying this, but they were still working the 5 day. They were still working the 5 day week, and so I was probably.
Did you feel guilty?
Oh, absolutely, and I do. Yeah,
that's the overwhelming feeling when you feel guilt. It's weird. But then Suzanne's a psychologist, and she taught me to do all of that.
Yeah.
There's like you're projecting a lot of your beliefs onto your team. You're thinking that they're actually thinking, good, he's rested and he's better, and they don't. Nobody really cares about you individually, but everybody cares about themselves and how they're projecting that onto other people. So they feel guilt, and you feel
Yes.
guilty about not working, and you worry about it.
Yeah.
And it makes you a bit stressed. And like I said, we have to support people coming into Tyler Grange to cope. It is quite hard. It's just really fascinating stuff.
It's fascinating as well how like to bring people into this, like the initial reaction, because we've had some early stage conversations with our team about this. Initial reaction is this will be unreal, but then some team members will actually do a 4-day work week because of leave and whatnot. We'd have wellbeing leave at our business that we've had for about 3 years, where it's a quarterly day to do something positive for your well-being. That's obviously we need to catch up a little bit in our organisation on this, I think. But yeah, interesting that the guys that are working, at that 5-day a week, and have that 4-day, have done 4 days, they feel stressed. That's their initial thing. Is like, oh, I liked it, but gee, I was under the pump. So initially, at your business at Tyler Grange, did you find that, I guess, the overall benefits are, naturally it sounds like productivity's up, which is great. People are more resilient to change is the other one. Well-being wise, what can you sort of draw from the experience so far?
We were really interested in this. So what we did is we developed an app, which you can download on the App Store. If you type Tyler Grange in, it's on Google Play as well. It's an Android, and so we developed an app. It's a mini survey. So we developed it with a BA pilot around fatigue. So we because a lot of we do a bit of night work and things like that from time to time, and we were worried about people getting really tired and doing things like driving cars and stuff. That's pretty dangerous. So we were interested in that, but actually, as we started doing the 4-day week, we realized that one of the major risks was going to be around well-being, and it's known as compressing hours. So you're taking 5 days and just jamming it into 4 without any change. So you're just going to do what you've always done, take 5 days, stick it into 4 and see if it works. That's going to be stressful stuff, and that's what your guys who are doing that are really reflecting to you, I think.
Yes.
Is they're just trying to do the same thing in 4 days rather than 5.
In more time, less time.
Not going to work. So we were really worried about that. So we developed this app. So it takes a couple of minutes. You do a little survey and a reaction test, and it sees how tired you are. But we also snuck in a question about your happiness. So really simple. And this was Suzanne's recommendation. Was a 1 to 5. This is how happy are you? So and this app's filled in every day. We get about half the business every day filling it in, but everyone fills it in regularly. And it's absolutely fascinating. Our happiness, I mean, it's really interesting through the day. It's different. So your happiness and tiredness changes through the day. You definitely have a lunchtime dip. We've seen this.
Yes.
We've picked up that our London team wasn't particularly happy at one point, and they didn't even know that they weren't happy.
Okay.
It just, as a group, their happiness dropped subtly, and then we realised there were some things going on that we had to change in that office that was causing them some stress. But the 4-day week initially created a bit of a dip in happiness, and it created a rise in tiredness as people had to cope with the change. But the day off allowed them to do that successfully. And as we went through the trial, our happiness soared and our tiredness dropped dramatically. Because as we worked out better ways of working, I mean, things like meetings, my board meetings now last about 40 minutes. And we used to have 2 or 3 hours of sitting around being pompous and important. And now we just get it done and get out, because frankly, we don't have any choice. We've got to get on. We don't want to be sitting around talking nonsense for hours. It's great, isn't it? And we got rid of that kind of stuff. So that was pretty cool. And we noticed that people were definitely less tired and happier. And we can prove it. I've got solid data that absolutely fundamentally proves that your organization is happier and less tired if you work 4 days rather than 5. I mean, it sounds bloody obvious initially, but then when you start thinking about it, you think, oh, wow, this could actually go horribly wrong. I might make everyone very upset in trying to deliver your 100% productivity. So yeah, that's proof, I think. I mean, it's pretty conclusive stuff. I mean, it's daily data from our whole organization gathered over, well, it's on about, I think, on about 17 months of data now. So I can show exactly
that's a great way to do it as well. Like with, I guess, stats on this, and it's, as you say, it's easy to read the studies and go, oh, okay, yep, this makes sense. Productivity's up, everyone's happier, blah blah blah. You've got actual proof in it, and I guess, you know, going back to job design or workflow design and how you can trim the fat. And as I was saying earlier, that kind of that Parkinson's law sort of concept. There is a lot of dead weight, a lot of wasted time. Meetings is probably the biggest, sounds like the biggest one, and especially the big management meetings where there's, you know, sometimes they go for your 2 hours.
I think
but if you
actually
cut it,
the biggest innovation for change for us, the thing that's really worked is comms, communication.
Yep.
So I mean, and one of the sort of strong responses you'll get from people, and I'm sure there'll be some people listening to this thinking this, is my clients are not going to like this. They're open 5 days a week. We work in the construction sector. It's pretty hardcore, pretty old school, and Friday afternoon deadlines are a really big deal. So that made us a little nervous. So we went around and spoke to 100 of our clients face to face. We went to see them. So our whole business went out and spoke to clients, said, look, we're going to do a 4-day week. How are you feeling about this? Initially, everyone was like, what? Are you nuts? And so how's this going to work? And we said, look, we're happy it's going to work. This is how we're going to do it. What we're going to do is we're going to really raise our communication with you. So you're going to see a lot more attention from us. We're going to be much more intentional around making sure we deliver early. So rather than you getting stuff on a Friday afternoon, you're going to get it Thursday, and you're going to get what you want Thursday, because we're going to talk to you more. So they were all pretty happy. I mean, we thought we'd have about a third that would say, we're really unhappy about this. We had 1 out of 100 that said they wouldn't use us because of it. And actually that one is now using us again.
Yeah. That's funny. They're coming back.
But the level of comms has had to go up, and our clients are saying that your service is much better. And I think this is internal comms, external comms. What it's done is it's given us an urgency around making sure that we are getting stuff done. It's not, you're not getting to Friday and nobody's really shouting at you, so I'll just slip that into next week. You can't do that anymore.
Yes.
So what you've actually got to do is you've got to deliver, and you've got to work out how to deliver Thursday so that nobody phones you on a Friday. We have an emergency phone line on a Friday, which all of the directors of Tyler Grange man. So I do it. I'm on that every sort of so often, once every sort of 2 or 3 months. I do a morning or an afternoon. And I sit there, and we have a phone line that rings. It goes to your mobile. I've only had about 2 calls in over a year when I've been
on hotline.
And actually one of those was a cold call trying to sell me something. So I'm not working, buddy. Go away. We had a few clients that will phone us up, so something's been missed. So, but then what we do then is we then go into a really heavy review process. Go, what happened? Why did we miss it? It's not about blame either. It's about trying to genuinely understand what happened there. Was it on us? Did we not communicate properly? Or sometimes your clients will be a little difficult, won't they? I mean, people can be a little difficult sometimes and not necessarily tell you about a deadline. So we're quite strong on that. We say, look, we will deliver when we said we will deliver. And that is how we will, and we do. But because we're talking to clients now much, 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 much more, we know most of the time if a deadline's changed, because we're talking to them, we're not hiding, and we've got to talk to them, because if we don't, we're going to get phoned up on a Friday, and your MD is going to phone you up and say, wait, why haven't you done this? You said you hadn't done it. And you can no longer wait to be hassled about a deadline. You have to be very proactive. So the most important change for us, and I think this is possibly true across the board, is communication. And I think this is, in retail, in manufacturing, you will see exactly the same stuff. People are going to have to talk to each other a lot more to succeed. So they do. And you tell me, and I know every leader wants comms to be better in their organization. You tell me a better way of doing it than this, because there isn't one.
Yep. Unreal, Simon. Hey, you've covered off on so much there. There's lots of gold in everything that you've discussed, especially in the case example at your organisation. If you sort of, because I think one thing around, you mentioned change, and change takes time, but we're also really good at adopting new technologies. AI is, not the latest thing. It's been around for a while, but everyone's adopting it. So processes and just sort of some of the basic stuff is a lot faster now. What do you think is like the future of the 4-day work week? Where does it go from here? Obviously, people adopt, like businesses like mine adopted in the next few months, and we just have a go, and then everyone's doing it. Do you feel like there's another iteration of the 4-day work week? This is the final question, by the way.
Definitely. Yes. I think it's no longer going to be about day hours worked. I mean, it'll become about outcome. What are you actually producing? What do you produce? And that will be, and that's right. You should be measured on what you deliver, not on the time it takes to do it, because who cares how long it takes?
Yeah.
But if you're delivering a great product, service, whatever your deliverable is, if you're delivering that well, why does anyone care how long it takes? So I think that will be the next iteration. Will be 4-day week. It is clickbait. 4-day week is clickbait. It gets people. So the reason I'm talking to people all over the world about this is because they think, wow, a day off, that's cool. I really want to do that.
Yeah.
Once you start having the conversation, the reality is it's about really, really effective, efficient businesses that are going to be very successful. So the next iteration is going to be lots of companies going bust because they don't do something different, because they are going to go bust, in my opinion. The companies that are doing 4-day week have pushed through all this change. They come used to change, so they start to be able to change and improve really, really rapidly. And that will cause lots and lots of disruption around how people work. And old school, we've always done this, so we're going to carry on doing it in the future. They're going to really, really struggle. That's my opinion. Because it's been so transformational for us. Once lots of other businesses do it and realize, get the same benefits that I've had, it's going to be really hard to carry on doing a 5-day week, isn't it? But it won't be a 4-day week. It'll be some sort of hybrid working around the number of hours you do that's really effective. So at Tyler Grange, we're already thinking about, well, what are we going to do next with our hours, with our days? It's not about going down to 3 days or 2 days or something silly, because actually we've had loads of bank holidays recently. I don't know if you guys have too, but with all the stuff around the Queen, lots of jubilees and bank holidays and funerals and things, that we've had a lot of 3-day weeks, and they are awful. That is a nightmare.
That's another obstacle.
So yes, to answer your question, 100%, there is more to come. But the point is, get on the train, because if you don't, you're not even going to leave the station. You're going to go bust if you don't do something about this. So that's my message to people. And it's not about less work. It's about highly effective organizations. If you're not thinking about this, you're going to be in serious trouble.
Simon, thanks so much. I appreciate your time, and some great insights there. You got me thinking anyway. Good on you, mate. Thank you.
Cool.